Welcome back to the Pop Revolution, the show where we dive into a new song every month and show you how it was made from beginning to end, writing, all the way to production. I'm your host, Nathan Larsen, and I'm excited to continue diving deeper into this month's tune, Vesperum. If you enjoyed that little clip but have not yet seen the music video or heard this tune, be sure to check that out right here. You can also watch the previous episode, episode number 3, right here. And the links for all of the other episodes from this month are in the description below. In this episode, we'll be talking about piano and keys. I won't be talking about synths in this episode because I'll be doing just that in the very next episode. So today focuses solely on piano, electric piano, and celesta. Since I am a pianist at heart, I pretty much always write piano parts. And this tune had some really great opportunities for the piano and the electric keys to shine. From the intro line in the electric piano, to the octave melody in the piano and celesta. Keyboards have some pretty great moments throughout this entire tune. Piano is certainly one of the most versatile of all the instruments. It can play really neat lead lines, like in the intro, or it can play more of an accompanying role, like in the transition. Electric keys, though not quite as versatile, can pretty much do anything piano can, but it doesn't quite have the depth piano does, so playing lead parts doesn't work quite as well. That's not to say you can't do it, but it just might take the right song to make it work. This tune was just simply not one of them. In this song, the electric piano functions more as a cool texture. The whole song starts out with electric piano, which, as I talked about in episode 2, was the very first thing I wrote. It gives a really unique texture to work with that allows for the piano to play the octave line that it does. Essentially, the electric piano fills up the space in the mid-range, and the piano can then sit right on top of that with the melody it's playing. The celesta pretty much just doubles the piano in an octave melody. This helps give the piano more of a bell-like tone quality. When you listen to it, it doesn't sound overbearing, but it's simply adding a really pretty quality to the notes. I find that in moments like these, doubling a pretty line the piano has with celesta or glockenspiel works really well. I actually tried using glockenspiel initially, but it was more percussive than I wanted because glockenspiel is played with hard mallets. Granted, you can play them with soft mallets, I just don't have samples for that or access to a real glockenspiel. I wanted to have a more mellow tone, and celesta ended up working super well for that. Let's talk a bit about the intro piano melody and how it works. Here's what the score looks like as I play just that line. You'll notice that this melody is really constructed with this C sharp to D starting it off, and then dropping down to another note, and then repeating the same gesture. In D major, the C sharp is the major 7th, and then goes to D, which is the root of the chord. It works super well on top of a D chord, and when you throw other chords under it, it still works to start that way because it keeps it memorable and connected. Really good melody writing often employs repeated gestures or motifs. After that beginning motif, the note drops to a chord tone to the chord that is sounding underneath. That half-step motion between the C sharp and D and then jumping down made a very easy and compelling melody that sounds memorable and pleasant. The rhythm of this melody is also part of what makes it so compelling. All of the offbeat rhythms help the melody continue to drive forward. I've said this before and I'll say it again, motion is really important in music, and this type of rhythm and melody helps keep motion moving. As the song continues in the A section, this melody continues, but it gets changed a bit that makes it more rhythmically charged. All the while, the celesta is doubling the piano part, and the electric piano is continuing its original pattern. In the transition section where the pedal tone happens, the piano begins outlining a new chord progression that's about to start happening when it goes into the B minor section. It's all over the pedal tone on D, and then it begins playing out in B minor like so. At this point in time, there is no electric piano in Celesta happening. Basically, I wanted to bring it down a bit. There's only piano, bass, drums, and some pulsing synth happening, so it feels a lot more sparse until the vocals come in. So, though this isn't a point of this video, it is good to mention that one of the best ways to separate your sections in a song is to either add or drop out instruments, or changing the texture by altering how you use your instruments. If you feel like your song is sounding too much the same throughout, then maybe you need to introduce a new instrument or take some out to give a different sonic vibe. If your first verse is really piano heavy, then maybe your second verse should be more guitar heavy. Or maybe the way you play the piano should be different. Changing things up is always a really good way to make your arrangement be more compelling. There's a lot more about that I won't get into, but hopefully this at least gets your brain juices flowing. Once the B section comes around where everything really explodes, the piano begins playing a counter melody of sorts. It's similar to what the electric guitar is doing, but not exactly the same. Really what this is doing is just help giving more energy to the moment. I could have written more heavy mid-range chords and such, but I really wanted to emphasize the higher register where the guitar is sitting. Now, just because this is what I did does not necessarily make it right. There are really no right or wrong answers in music, just simply different solutions. I absolutely could have written in more mid-range comping in the piano, and it would have worked just fine, but I didn't. So, a big part of decision making is answering this question, what am I trying to accomplish? And then figuring out what does that look like musically. I find it helps to ask this question while working out a lot of these decisions. The outro to the song is pretty much exactly as the beginning as far as keyboards go, so there's nothing really new to point out there. And that's a wrap, folks. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope this was helpful to you. Of course, be sure to leave any questions or comments you have below, and I'll always do my best to get back to you. Be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with us as we continue along in our monthly series on the pop revolution. Also, you can buy this tune on iTunes right here, so you can have it with you everywhere you go, and this also goes a great way in showing your support to us so we can continue creating these videos for you to enjoy. Live long and prosper.